If you woke up tomorrow as a millionaire, how would you think, feel, and act differently? Answer me now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could for a moment set aside all doubts, all questioning, and simply accept the truth that wealth is not something to be pursued, but something to be assumed, how differently would you live? Would you wait for the evidence to convince you, or would you dare to believe in the unseen, knowing that assumption once deeply felt must externalize itself into fact? To desire wealth is natural, but to desire without assuming is to remain in a state of longing, forever chasing an illusion that appears just beyond reach. There is a secret known to those who have mastered the art of creation, and that secret is this: the bridge between where you are and where you wish to be is assumption. Not effort, not struggle, not external validation, but the simple, unwavering act of assuming that what you seek is already yours. There is no separation between you and the wealth you long for, except the separation created by your own consciousness. The man who assumes poverty, no matter how hard he works, will find ways to confirm his lack. The man who assumes wealth, no matter his external conditions, will find the means by which his wealth reveals itself. You do not need to wait for the world to tell you that you are rich. You must tell the world that you are rich, and in doing so, watch as it rearranges itself to accommodate your assumption. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what would it feel like to be a millionaire right now? Not tomorrow, not next year, not someday, but now. Would you stand a little taller? Would you move through the world with confidence, knowing that your needs are met before they even arise? Would you release the fears that have bound you, the thoughts of limitation that have whispered that wealth is for others, but not for you? You must assume the feeling of financial abundance so deeply, so naturally, that it becomes as real to you as the air you breathe. Do not confuse assumption with wishful thinking. A wish is weak. A wish acknowledges separation. A wish is an admission that you do not yet have what you seek. Assumption, on the other hand, is powerful. It is the claiming of a state, the full embodiment of a reality that must come forth. The world responds not to what you desire, but to what you assume to be true. Look at your life as it stands today. Every condition, every experience, every circumstance you find yourself in is a reflection of past assumptions. Nothing has come to you by chance. The wealth or the lack thereof, the success or the struggle, the freedom or the constraint, it has all been drawn to you by the state you have most consistently assumed. If this is true, then what must you do to transform your life? You must assume differently. You must see yourself as already possessing what you once thought was out of reach. Do not wait for money to enter your hands before you assume wealth. That is the way of the world, but it is not the way of creation. The world says when you see it, you will believe it. But the truth is, when you believe it, you will see it. Your wealth begins in the unseen, in the realm of imagination, where all things are first conceived before they are made manifest. At night, before you sleep, dwell in the feeling of financial freedom. Construct in your mind the scene that implies your wealth is already a fact. See yourself receiving congratulations, handling large sums of money, living in the luxury that is now your new normal. Feel it so vividly that when you awaken, the world itself seems but a shadow of your inner reality. Persist in this state, and it must become your world, for nothing can be denied to the one who assumes with conviction. Some will say, but I have debts, I have struggles, I have bills to pay. How can I assume wealth when my reality contradicts it? And to them, the answer is simple. Reality is but an echo of past assumptions. If you continue to react to the world as it is, you will only perpetuate the same cycle. You must break free. You must assume now, in this moment, that you are the millionaire version of yourself. Walk as if, think as if, feel as if, until the world has no choice but to conform. The assumption of wealth is not arrogance. It is faith. It is the knowing that the unseen is more real than what appears before you. The greatest fortunes in history were not created by those who doubted, but by those who believed in their vision so completely that failure was never a possibility. They lived in the end. They assumed their wealth long before the world acknowledged it. And so must you. If you wish to transform your financial reality, begin now. Assume it fully. Feel it deeply. Persist in it unwaveringly. The bridge to wealth is assumption, and once you step upon it, the world must follow. If you were told that the wealth you seek is not something to attain, but something to reveal, would you believe it? If you were shown that the millionaire version of you is not in some distant future, waiting for you to catch up, but exists here and now, would you dare to assume it? The greatest misconception that holds man in bondage to limitation is the belief that he must become something he is not, when in truth, he need only recognize what he already is. The difference between the man who lives in wealth and the man who lives in lack is not the money in his bank account, nor the opportunities that have come his way. It is the state of consciousness he occupies. One assumes himself to be rich, and the world reflects it. The other assumes himself to be struggling, and his world proves him right. Do you see the pattern? You do not become a millionaire by acquiring wealth. You become a millionaire by assuming the consciousness of wealth, and the external world will follow. Ask yourself, who am I in relation to money? If your answer is filled with lack, if you see yourself as someone who needs, someone who wants, someone who hopes but does not have, then you will continue to experience the reality of wanting. The world outside is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the state you most consistently dwell in. Change your assumption about yourself, and the reflection must change as well. There is no need to wait. There is no process, no long journey to embark upon. The shift happens now, the moment you claim it. If you were already a millionaire, how would you wake up in the morning? Would you rise with a feeling of ease, knowing that all is well? Would you walk through your day free from worry, secure in the knowledge that wealth flows effortlessly to you? Would you look upon the world with appreciation rather than fear? You do not need to wait for external proof. Assume that version of yourself now, and watch as the world arranges itself to reflect your new state. Many believe that action is required first, that they must work harder, find the right opportunities, or struggle until success is achieved. But this is an illusion. Action follows assumption. The man who assumes himself to be wealthy will be moved naturally to act in accordance with that assumption. His thoughts will align, his behaviors will shift, and without force, without struggle, he will find himself taking the very actions that lead to the fulfillment of his state. He does not act to become, he acts because he is. You are not separate from wealth. The belief that you must chase it implies that it is outside of you, that it is something distant and elusive. But wealth is not a thing, it is a state of being. The millionaire version of you exists now, just as surely as the version of you who doubts, who worries, who fears. The only difference is which version you choose to embody. If you could see yourself as you truly are, limitless, abundant, lacking nothing, you would never again question whether wealth is possible for you. You would not ask, how will it come? When will it arrive? For you would know that it is already done. The external world may not yet show it, but the world is only the echo, the shadow cast by your inner state. Change the inner, and the outer must follow. Dare to assume it, not as a fleeting thought, not as a wish, but as a fact. Walk through your day knowing that you are already wealthy, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Pay attention to how the world responds when you shift your assumption. Notice how people treat you differently, how opportunities arise when none existed before. The moment you cease to see yourself as someone striving for wealth and instead claim yourself as already possessing it, everything changes. The illusion of time is what traps many in a cycle of waiting. They say, one day when I have enough, when I learn more, when I find the right opportunity, then I will be rich. But do you not see that very assumption keeps wealth in the future always a step away? The truth is, you are what you assume yourself to be right now. If you believe that wealth is coming, it will always be coming, but never here. If you believe that wealth is already yours, the world will be compelled to prove you right. There is no need to force, no need to push. Simply assume and let the assumption harden into fact. The millionaire version of you is not waiting to be created, it is waiting to be claimed. If you were told that the secret to wealth, success, and abundance is not in effort, not in struggle, not in the endless chase for opportunities, but in a simple, undeniable feeling, would you believe it? Would you dare to accept that the world around you, the life you are living, the financial reality you experience, is nothing more than a reflection of what you have felt to be true about yourself? If you could grasp this one truth, not merely as an idea, but as a law, you would never again wonder how to change your circumstances, for you would know that change begins in feeling. All things exist now: wealth, abundance, freedom. They are not distant. They are not outside of you, waiting to be earned. They are ever present, waiting only for you to claim them. But you do not claim with words, nor with effort, you claim with feeling. You do not beg for wealth, you feel wealthy. You do not wish for success, you feel successful. You do not long for abundance, you feel abundant. And in that feeling, the world has no choice but to mirror your assumption. It is a mistake to think that external conditions determine how you feel. The truth is the opposite. Your feelings determine your external conditions. A man does not become rich and then feel wealthy. He first feels wealthy, and his world shifts to reflect that assumption. A man does not wait for circumstances to change before he feels secure. He first feels secure, and then the world molds itself to his inner conviction. The world is simply a mirror, faithfully reflecting what you assume yourself to be. Ask yourself, how do you feel about money? How do you feel about wealth? Is it something you believe you have, or something you believe you lack? Is it something you fear losing, or something you trust flows naturally to you? Every belief, every thought, every reaction stems from an inner feeling, and it is that feeling which constructs your world. If you feel poor, no amount of action will bring you wealth, for the world cannot give you what you have not first assumed within. If you were already the person you wish to be, how would you feel? If you were a millionaire today, if you had all the money you needed, if wealth was your natural state, what would that feel like? Would you feel peace? Would you feel security? Would you feel gratitude? That feeling is the seed, and the moment you plant it within you, fully accepting it as your present reality, the world begins to rearrange itself to make it so. Do not make the mistake of thinking that mere thought will bring you what you seek. Thought without feeling is powerless. You may affirm 1,000 times, I am wealthy, I am successful. But if beneath those words you still feel lack, you will continue to experience lack. It is not the words that shape reality. It is the feeling behind them. Words are only powerful when they are charged with belief, when they are spoken from a state of deep, unquestioned conviction. You do not need to know how your wealth will come, nor when. That is not your concern. The moment you assume the feeling of already being wealthy, the path will unfold naturally. Opportunities will arise where none existed before. Ideas will flow effortlessly. People will appear in perfect alignment with your assumption. The world will move in ways beyond your comprehension, simply to reflect what you have claimed within. But you must persist in the feeling. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the outer world seems unchanged, when your senses try to convince you that you are still where you began. But do not be deceived by appearances. The moment you assume a new state of being, the shift has already begun. What you feel now is creating what you will experience tomorrow. If you allow the outer world to dictate how you feel, you remain trapped in the cycle of reaction. But if you hold steadfast to your inner assumption, the outer world must eventually bend to match it. At night, as you drift into sleep, let yourself feel as if you already possess everything you desire. Construct in your imagination a scene that implies your wealth is real and live within it. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude. Let it be so vivid, so real that when you awaken, you carry that feeling with you into the day. And as you move through the world, do not seek evidence, simply know that it is done. The world will conform in ways you cannot predict, for feeling is the secret, and assumption is the force that brings all things into being. If you could step into the future and see yourself as the person you have always desired to be, how would you walk? How would you speak? How would you think? Would you still carry the doubts that weigh on you today? Would you still question whether success is meant for you? Or would you stand firm in the knowing that your desires are already fulfilled? If you wish to transform your life, you must not wait for the world to give you proof. You must live from the end result. You must assume that what you seek is already yours and walk in that knowing. Everything in life is created twice. First in the unseen world of imagination, and then in the physical world of facts. A man who wishes to build a house does not begin by gathering bricks without a vision. He first sees the house in his mind, fully completed, and only then does he move to bring it into existence. And yet, so many believe that they must wait for wealth before they can feel wealthy, wait for success before they can feel successful. This is the great illusion. The truth is, the moment you assume yourself to be what you desire, the world begins to mold itself to your assumption. The man who lives in the end result does not hope, he does not wish. He does not look to external conditions for confirmation. He knows that what he has accepted as true in his imagination must be made real. He moves, speaks, and acts as if it is already done. He does not force, he does not struggle, for he understands that creation is finished. Every possibility already exists. And the only question is, which reality will you claim as your own? Most people live in a state of waiting. They say, one day when I have more money, when I meet the right people, when circumstances align, then I will be successful. And yet that very assumption ensures that success always remains just out of reach. They do not realize that by placing their desire in the future, they are declaring that it is not theirs now. And as long as they declare it is not theirs, the world will continue to reflect that truth. The secret is to claim it now. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Assume it fully in this moment and let the feeling of already having it guide your every step. Close your eyes and picture your ideal life, not as something far away, not as a dream to be chased, but as your current reality. If you were already the millionaire version of yourself, how would you carry yourself? Would you hesitate when opportunities arise, or would you step forward with confidence, knowing that success is your natural state? Would you worry about money, or would you trust that wealth flows effortlessly to you? These are not idle questions. They are the foundation upon which your reality is built. To live from the end result is to accept fully and completely that what you desire is already yours. It is to refuse to be swayed by appearances, to stand firm in your assumption, even when the world presents evidence to the contrary. The world outside is nothing more than an echo of past assumptions. If you do not like what you see, do not fight against it. Simply assume a new state of being and persist in that assumption until the world catches up. When a seed is planted, no one digs it up each day to see if it has sprouted. It is left undisturbed, and in time it must grow. The same is true of your assumptions. The moment you accept them as fact, they are planted deep within your subconscious, and the world has no choice but to make them real. Do not waver. Do not doubt. Simply assume the end result and let life unfold accordingly. At night, before you sleep, dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire. Construct a scene in your imagination that implies your success is a fact. See it clearly, feel it deeply, and as you drift into sleep, carry that feeling with you. This is the key to effortless creation. For what you accept as true in imagination must become your reality. The world is only responding to what you have claimed within. Live now as the person you seek to become. Walk as if, think as if, feel as if. until there is no separation between who you are and who you wish to be. And when you do, the world will bow to your assumption, for it is only ever a reflection of the state you have chosen to embody. If the world you see today contradicts the wealth, success, and abundance you seek, do you accept it as final? Do you believe the facts of today hold the power to dictate your tomorrow? Or will you dare to see beyond appearances, to trust in an unseen reality more real than anything your senses can perceive? The greatest illusion that binds man to limitation is his unwavering belief in what his senses report. He looks at his empty bank account and declares himself poor. He sees rejection and calls himself unworthy. He experiences struggle and assumes it is his lot in life. And yet, all of these are merely shadows of past assumptions, nothing more than echoes of a former state of being. If he would but withdraw his attention from these appearances and claim a new reality within, the world outside would have no choice but to conform. The senses were never meant to dictate what is true. They are only instruments that reveal what has already been accepted in imagination. If a man dwells in thoughts of lack, his world will reflect it, and his senses will confirm it. But to live by the senses alone is to be enslaved by the past, for what you see today is simply the crystallization of past beliefs. The question is not, what does the world show me, but rather, what do I choose to believe in spite of what the world shows me? The wealthy man does not become wealthy by reacting to the evidence of an empty bank account. He assumes wealth within and remains unmoved even when the world presents contradictions. He does not concern himself with how or when his wealth will materialize. He does not question whether his assumption is realistic. He simply knows that what he has claimed in imagination is already his, and he refuses to entertain anything to the contrary. The world outside will fight for his attention. It will present obstacles, delays, moments that tempt him to doubt. But if he remains firm in his assumption, if he refuses to let the evidence of the senses dictate his belief, the world must shift to reflect his conviction. A farmer does not question whether the seed he has planted will grow. He does not dig it up each day, doubting whether it will sprout. He trusts the process. He knows that if he has planted the seed and nurtured it with care, the harvest is certain. In the same way, the assumption you plant within yourself will take root, it will grow, and it will bear fruit. But if you waver, if you constantly check for proof, if you allow yourself to be swayed by external appearances, you uproot the seed before it has a chance to blossom. To ignore the evidence of the senses is not to deny reality, it is to create a new one. It is to recognize that what you see today is nothing more than the shadow of old thoughts, and that a new assumption, persistently held, will cast an entirely different shadow. If you would be wealthy, stop seeking validation from the outside world. Stop looking to your current conditions as proof of what is possible. Instead, turn within. Assume the feeling of already being wealthy. Walk through life as if your success were an established fact. Let your senses scream their objections. Pay them no mind. They will soon catch up to your new state of being. There will come moments when the world tempts you to react. Perhaps a bill arrives that you were not expecting. Perhaps an opportunity you hoped for does not materialize. In these moments, you must stand firm. You must remember that what you see now is not final. The man who is ruled by appearances will say, "See, nothing is changing." But the man who knows the truth will say, "This is merely an echo of the past. I do not accept it as my reality." And by holding fast to his inner conviction, he bends the world to his will. At night, as you drift into sleep, refuse to carry the burdens of the day with you. Instead, enter into the state of the wish fulfilled. See yourself as already possessing all that you desire. Feel the reality of it so deeply that for a moment, it seems more real than anything in the physical world. And as you fall asleep in that state, you impress it upon the subconscious, and the world must rearrange itself accordingly. The senses will always tempt you to doubt. They will show you a world of limitations, struggle, and delay. But if you would rise above them, If you would persist in your assumption despite all evidence to the contrary, you would soon find that what was once unseen has become undeniable fact. Not by chance, not by luck, but by the law of assumption, which governs all creation. The world is only a mirror, reflecting not what is real, but what is most consistently assumed to be real. Assume wisely, and watch as reality bends to match your conviction. The greatest mistake one can make in the art of creation is to assume a desire momentarily, only to abandon it at the first sign of contradiction. Many will entertain the thought of wealth, success, and abundance for a fleeting moment. But when the world does not instantly bow to their assumption, they revert to their old way of thinking, reinforcing the very conditions they sought to change. They say, "I tried, but nothing happened," not realizing that the only thing required of them was persistence, an unshakable conviction that what they have claimed within must be made manifest without. To persist in an assumption is to refuse to waver, no matter what the senses report. It is to stand firm in the belief that what you have imagined is already real, even if the world presents no evidence to support it. A seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. It requires time, patience, and unwavering faith in the process of growth. So it is with your desires. The moment you assume yourself to be what you wish to be, the process has already begun. But if you uproot your assumption by doubting, by questioning, by reacting to the world of appearances, you delay the very thing you wish to see materialized. Most people live in a state of reaction. They look to the outer world for confirmation of their desires, and when they see nothing change, they assume their efforts have been in vain. But the truth is this: your world can only reflect what you persistently assume to be true. If you desire wealth, but constantly dwell in thoughts of lack, if you wish for success, but react to every obstacle with doubt, then you are wavering. You are allowing the outer world to dictate your state of being rather than holding steadfast to your chosen reality. The one who persists, who refuses to be swayed by conditions, who continues to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when all seems unchanged, is the one who bends reality to his will. It is not enough to assume your desire for a single moment and then return to your old beliefs. The assumption must become your dwelling place. It must be the state from which you think, feel, and act in every moment. If you were already the successful, wealthy individual you wish to be, how would you carry yourself? Would you doubt? Would you question? Would you seek proof? Or would you simply know that success is your natural state and allow the world to catch up to that inner conviction? To persist is to live from the end continuously, refusing to entertain any thought or feeling that contradicts your assumption. If you declare yourself to be wealthy, but then worry about money, you are contradicting yourself. If you assume success, but constantly doubt whether your efforts will pay off, you are uprooting the very seed you have planted. The only way to bring forth a new reality is to remain loyal to it, to think from it rather than of it, and to refuse to be swayed by what appears to be. There is no power outside of you determining your fate. The only power is within, the power of assumption, which when persisted in must externalize itself into the world of form. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not subject to luck, chance, or fate. You are the operant power, the creator of your experience. And the only question is, will you persist in your chosen assumption until it hardens into fact, or will you allow the illusions of the senses to shake your belief? If you wish to change your life, begin now by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And then, no matter what happens, no matter how the world appears to contradict your assumption, persist. Hold to the conviction that what you have claimed within is real, and the world has no choice but to conform. It may take time, just as a seed requires time to bloom, but the law is certain. That which you assume with persistence will become your reality. And once you understand this, you will never again be bound by circumstances, for you will know that the only true reality is the one you create within. If there is one truth that must be understood above all else, it is this: your reality is a direct reflection of the assumptions you persist in. You are not bound by circumstances, nor are you at the mercy of fate. The wealth, success, and abundance you seek are not something to be chased or begged for. They already exist within you, waiting for recognition. The world outside is only a mirror, reflecting the state of consciousness you most consistently occupy. If you wish to transform your life, you must first transform the way you see yourself. The man who assumes wealth, even in the face of lack, will inevitably see wealth materialize. The one who ignores the evidence of the senses and persists in his conviction will watch as the world reshapes itself in response. Creation is finished. All the question is, which reality will you claim as your own? Do not wait for proof. Do not seek validation from the world, and do not waver when faced with delay. The unseen reality you hold within is far more powerful than anything your senses can perceive. Assume your desire is already fulfilled. Live from that state and let the world catch up to your unwavering belief. The path to success is not in struggle or effort, but in a simple shift in consciousness. Hold to your assumption, walk in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and persist until it hardens into fact. For the one who dares to believe in the unseen, who remains faithful to his inner conviction, will one day wake up to find that the world has no choice but to reflect the truth he has already claimed within.